Salam Sejahtera, I'm SOORYA MUTTU with Prime at 1 in our headlines. Government committed to providing affordable housing despite facing rising property values, and blocked Suez Canal has minimal impact on Malaysia, ports well equipped to handle a surge. The 1 p.m. news in full. Hello and good afternoon. The government is committed to providing comfortable and affordable housing to B40 and urban poor groups, especially in rapidly developing areas, even though having to face the challenge of rising property values. In facing those challenges, the government, through the Federal Territories Ministry, had recently launched the Guide to Implement Redevelopment of Kuala Lumpur in old and uneconomical areas such as at the Sri Labuan public housing site. The guide was also aimed to ensure that those areas would be given a facelift, which would also increase their property values.
Alhamdulillah, projek telah dapat direalisasikan. Ini setelah tertangguh dikatakan sejak 10 tahun yang lalu. Jadi saya nak ucapkan syabas kepada Bapak Menteri Persekutuan yang diterajui oleh Yang Berhormat Tan Sri Tahun Plana Anwar Haji Musa dan Dewan Bandar Kuala Lumpur yang telah berusaha bertungkus lumus untuk memastikan segala permasalahan dapat ditangani sehingga residensi Razak Emas ini dapat diserahkan pada hari ini. Alhamdulillah. Ini membuktikan niat ikhlas, tumpuan dan usaha gigih jentera kerajaan untuk memastikan keprihatinan terhadap kebajikan rakyat sentiasa diberikan keutamaan.
The Prime Minister said this at the handing over ceremony of house keys to owners of the new residency Razak Emas 2 apartments today. Meanwhile, disruptions caused by a container ship stuck in Egypt's Suez Canal which has halted marine traffic through the most important waterway connecting east and west, would have a minimal impact on Malaysia, as the country's ports are well equipped to handle more than a ship at a time. Port Klang Authority General Manager Captain K. Subramaniam said Port Klang and Port of Tanjung Pelapas were the only Malaysian ports receiving calls from Europe and the Mediterranean. He said the ports can accommodate 2 ships at a time. The Malaysian Maritime Enforcement Agency MMEA has sought the assistance of search and rescue teams from Indonesia and Vietnam to locate 6 fishermen, including the boat skipper, who have gone missing in Kemaman waters since last Monday. Kemaman Maritime Zone Director, Maritime Commander Rashid Dilhadi Abdul Rashid said this was part of efforts in continuing the search if the boat had drifted into the waters of the neighbouring countries. They were reported to have gone out to sea last Monday and were scheduled to return the next day, Tuesday, but after failing to contact them on Monday evening, their family members lodged a report with the MMEA. Over in Kuantan, the number of flood victims has increased to 249 this morning from 114 people yesterday, with the opening of another relief centre last night. The Social Welfare Department JKM Info portal reported that 59 victims from 14 families are seeking shelter at the newly opened centre at Taman Murni, Sungai Isap Community Hall. According to the Malaysian Meteorological Department, incessant heavy rains for the past 3 days had resulted in floods in the areas, and heavy rains are expected to continue today. Meanwhile, the official website of the Department of Irrigation and Drainage stated that 2 rivers in the district, namely Sungai Kuantan in Pasir Kemudi and Sungai Belat in Sri Damai, have risen to warning level. Tan Sri Dr. Nur Hisham Abdullah urged Malaysians again to work towards flattening the curve of COVID-19 infections in the country. In a Facebook post, the Health Director General shared a graph on the country's infectivity rate, R0, which shows that with compliance to the standard operating procedures, SOPs, the curve of infection has flattened, with the R0 decreasing from 1.2 to 0.8. However, the graph also showed that if the public does not comply with the necessary SOPs, the R0 could rise again from 0.8 to 1.2. Bukit Aman confirms that the newly launched My Bayar Saman app is down due to heavy user traffic. Bukit Aman Traffic Investigation and Enforcement Department JSPT Director Deputy Commissioner Dato Azizman Alias said the app will be reopened after the system has been reconciled. In an Instagram post today, the department said that users could still register and check the status of their summons. The application was officially launched yesterday, with police offering discounts of up to 50% on selected summons until April 11th. In other news, former Sabah Chief Minister Tan Sri Musa Aman withdrew his appeal in the federal court over his legal challenge on the legality of Datuk Sri Muhammad Shafiq Apdal's appointment as Sabah Chief Minister. Former Tamparuli Assemblyman Datuk Jahid alias Nordin Jahim has also withdrawn his appeal on the same matter. In today's court proceedings conducted online via Zoom, Datuk Jahid's lawyer, Datuk Firoz Hussain Ahmad Jamaluddin said he had received instruction to withdraw both the appeals as they have been overtaken by time and circumstances since an election had taken place in the state and a new government has been formed. Coming up in our bulletin, Australia reports first locally acquired COVID-19 case in a week. Welcome back. In foreign news, Australia today reported its first locally acquired COVID-19 case in more than a week after a 26-year-old man tested positive, prompting authorities to place restrictions on hospitals, retirement homes and disability centres. Queensland State Premier Anastasia Palaszczuk said the person who contracted the virus has been infectious for a week but stayed mostly isolated at home since Monday after developing symptoms. Visitors will be banned in hospitals and retirement homes in state capital Brisbane starting today, as authorities urge the city's residents to wear masks indoors and when using public transport. Colombia has approved emergency use of Johnson & Johnson's one-shot COVID-19 vaccine, the Director of Food and Drug Regulator in VIMA said as part of a government address yesterday. The approved vaccine is developed by Janssen, the pharmaceutical wing of Johnson & Johnson. In addition to being a one-dose vaccine, INVIMA Director Julio Cesar Aldana said the J&J vaccine has less demanding storage needs than some other approved vaccines. Colombia has also closed agreements for vaccines developed by Pfizer Inc. and BioNTech, AstraZeneca, Moderna and Sinovac. It is also set to receive doses via the World Health Organization-backed COVAX mechanism. French Health Minister Olivier Véran announced, quote, reinforced braking measures in 3 more COVID-19 high-risk regions, Rhône, Aubert and Nièvre, in a bid to contain a third wave of the pandemic. Starting from Friday midnight, outdoor gatherings are limited to 6 people in these 3 departments, and daytime travel less than 10 kilometers from home is allowed, while those within a 30 km radius of a person's home require a signed document. Inter-regional travel will be banned, but schools will remain open with reinforced health protocol. According to the minister, the new restrictions are set to last for at least 4 weeks, which officials hope will be enough time to ease pressure on hospitals while more people get vaccinated. Separately, French President Emmanuel Macron lashed out against pharmaceutical firm AstraZeneca for not honouring its contract and expressed support for the European Union's decision to block all COVID-19 vaccine exports as long as laboratories do not keep their commitments. Speaking on the sidelines of the European Council summit late Thursday, Macron affirmed that Pfizer, BioNTech and Moderna had kept up with their commitments with regard to the supply of COVID-19 vaccines. The contractual commitments France had with AstraZeneca have not been honoured. Holding a chart comparing the number of doses promised and those supplied by the 3 vaccine makers, he said the British-Swedish company had assured, quote, 120 million doses to the EU, but are now promising to deliver 30 million doses instead. And finally, United States President Joe Biden warned North Korea not to escalate the situation while saying he is prepared to conduct diplomacy with Pyongyang. In his first formal press conference since taking office, Biden told reporters that North Korea missile tests on Wednesday violated United Nations Security Council Resolution 1718. He said allies and partner countries are discussing the matter and will respond accordingly if North Korea decides to escalate the situation. Biden, however, added that he is prepared for some form of diplomacy, but it has to be conditioned upon the end result of denuclearization. And that concludes Prime at 1 p.m. from RTM's News Centre right here in Angkasa Puri, Kuala Lumpur. The bulletin was prepared by TANUSHA DEVI. But before I go, remember to practice the 3 W's: wash, wear, warn, and avoid the 3 C's: crowded places, confined spaces, and close conversations. The next updates will be at 2 p.m. Salam Sejahtera.